What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, smoky, medium rare, delicious steak dinner for
me,
Carl. Coming up. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, folks, and if you're like me, you'll take pretty much any excuse you can to make a big, juicy steak dinner. So that being said, today I've got the king of all steaks, the Tomahawk Ribeye. I'm gonna show you how I like to cook it up, make a few sides, and it is going to be delicious. Before we get started with this steak, I want to give a big shout out to my new friend Brian Ivy. He's got a plasma cutting table and he offered to cut me out my logo to install on this table. He came over yesterday and helped put it on and everything, and it looks bad ass. So huge shout out to Brian. Make sure to give him a follow. He is on Instagram at Lazy Eye Design. And if you're in the Austin region, be sure to hit him up if you need anything cut out of steel. Brian, thank you. Looks so good. This is a USDA Prime Tomahawk Ribeye. And if you're not sure what a Tomahawk Ribeye is, it's essentially a really thick steak on the rib bone. And it's mostly just for presentation's sake. The bone can kind of help insulate the meat when you're cooking it, but at the same time, you're paying just as much for this big bone as you are for the meat. So it can be a bit expensive, and it's really just a presentation thing, so best saved for special occasions. This behemoth is weighing in at just over 3 pounds, real thick, and as you can see, the marbling on it is just beautiful. One thing I'm gonna do while I'm here with a knife is just go ahead and clean this bone up a little bit. They did a pretty good job of getting it nice and clean, but again, we want this thing to look as cool as possible. Because there's nothing more badass than eating a big steak on the bone. And this bone will not go to waste. I always save bones whenever I have a bone and ribeye like this, and just put them in the freezer for your next big batch of stock. There we go, bone is as clean as I'm gonna get it. You can also go through it this time and take off anything weird that's hanging off, or just make it look pretty. But that is looking good to me. One other thing I like to do with these big, thick steaks, especially with the ribeye, is tie it up. That's because of this muscle on the outside, the cap, the spinalis, has a tendency to separate once this gets cooked. And that's because all this fat in the middle here will kind of render, and the two muscles will want to separate. And especially because we're gonna be handling this a lot, because it's a big steak, flipping it back and forth with the bone here. I don't want anything falling apart. So I'm gonna tie it up with some butcher's twine. And to do so is super easy. We're just gonna go around the bone here, do a nice little loop-de-loop, and then just come right around the muscles, and we'll do the nice little twisty twist knot here, the old butcher's knot, and then we'll just tie this nice and snug. And this will just help it keep its shape, keep everything together. When it comes to a big, thick steak like this, I always like to season it at least a few hours ahead of time. What that's gonna do is allow time for the salt to really penetrate all the way through the meat, making sure each bite is super flavorful, because we don't want to end up with a really salty exterior and a really bland interior. You can always go through at the end too and throw some flaky salt on top. This way the steak gets seasoned all the way through the meat. We don't have to worry about it falling off and flaking off during the cooking process. And it's also going to help dry out the exterior of the meat, which will help get us a very nice thick crust, which is what we're all after on a good steak like this. You can't really over season a piece of meat this big, so just go heavy all the way around, and then we're gonna pop it in the fridge on this rack, uncovered, for the next 3-4 hours, or until I'm ready to throw it on the pit. Speaking of pits, we've got a few options to choose from today here in the old Chud shop. We've got the old 65 version 2, the old 65 version 3. This is the 1/8" thick, and that is the 5/16" thick. And then we've got this 115, which I'd like to fire up, but I don't think I can get that done today. But this one, however, is damn near ready to go. Just gotta finish up the grill on the end here, burn it out, put some drain holes in, and we'll fire it up. Finally got ourselves a gas tank for this here welder. Makes a huge difference not having these dirty, dirty beads all the time. Woo! Should have done that sooner. But yeah, this grill's coming along. It's just about time to fire it up. Tell you what, drilling out a hole in this 3/8" thick pipe is no joke. Beautiful. And just like that, this smoker is done. Well, I still have to build the actual cooking grate, but I can do that while we fire it up. This is a part of the show that I forgot to turn the microphone on. Fire building noise, birds chirping in the background, leaf blower noise. Gotta love the clean burning nature of the 115. Beautiful. Thing is ripping. Just gonna burn it out, get it nice and hot, and then we'll start seasoning the inside and outside and make this thing ready to cook on. January's over.
Very nice.
Now that we got this thing ripping hot, 400, 450 degrees, I'm now gonna season it with some boiled linseed oil with the assistance of this flamethrower. The smoker is done. It has been seasoned inside and out. I went with avocado oil on the inside this time around, but right now it's still at about 600 degrees. So while we wait for that metal to cool down a little bit, let's go ahead and get our steak seasoned up the rest of the way. Here we are about 4 or 5 hours later, and as you can see, all the salt on the meat has disappeared into the meat, and it's got a beautiful red color to it. However, you can still see all the salt on the fat because it doesn't dissolve into fat. To help our other seasoning stick, I like to add a little bit of oil at this time. And lately I've been going with some white truffle oil. This stuff is real cheap. And if you're gonna add oil, you might as well add something with a little bit of flavor to it. Not too much, and I like to really rub it in. It's gonna help kind of thicken it up and get a tacky surface, which is really gonna help the pepper and garlic stick to it, as well as make sure nothing drips off, taking seasoning with it. This is a great tip for ribs or briskets too, if you're gonna use an oil as a slather. But I like to rub it in until it gets this nice opaque color like that, and then I'm just gonna hit it with some black pepper. I like a good amount on there because I'm not using fresh cracked. It's not gonna be too strong. Just kind of pat it on, make sure it sticks. As you can see, nothing's falling off of that, which is perfect. Now we're gonna hit it with a little bit of garlic as well. I like garlic powder on steaks. I think it adds a nice flavor. If I was doing a traditional pan-seared steak with garlic in the pan with the butter basting, I wouldn't add garlic powder, but that is looking perfect for me. Now to do the other sides. I know truffle oil is kind of bougie and a buzzword these days, but again, that was like a $4 bottle. And it tastes great, especially with steak. Oh yes. Perfect. I'm gonna do the top and bottom too. Off camera. Beautiful. Looking good. Let's throw it on the pit. When it comes to cooking a super thick steak like this, the reverse sear method is definitely the way to go about it. And traditionally that's done by putting your steak into a low temperature oven and letting the internal temperature come up gradually, giving you that nice edge to edge medium rare that we're looking for. And that's what we want because we're gonna avoid that well done gray layer on either side of the steak, which we definitely don't want with ribeye because this exterior muscle, the spinalis, is the best part and we don't wanna overcook it. So that being said, I'm gonna throw this on this pit, rocking right around 250 degrees until it comes up to temp. But as always, you can do whatever you like. If you like a really smoky steak, you can cook it lower, down at 225, 200 degrees. If you're in a hurry or you just want a kiss of smoke, you can cook upwards of 300, 325. But for me, between 250, 275 is just enough smoke and we'll get this thing cooked in a reasonable amount of time. We're gonna throw this on, fat cap towards the fire, right about halfway through this smoker. We'll come back in a little bit. While we wait for our steak to come up to an internal temperature of 118 degrees, we've got just enough time on our hands to get our sides going. Oops. A little salt, a little pep, a little garlic powder. Who doesn't love tiny potatoes? Am I right? Smells so good.
Mise en place es bueno.
Now that we got our cast iron skillet nice and toasty, we're gonna go down with a nice nub of some butter. Next up, shallots in. Now these are cooked down a little bit, we're gonna go in with our mushrooms. These are just some brown Bella mushrooms that I sliced up. While our mushrooms cook down, start releasing all their water, start caramelizing, we're gonna go ahead and get our potatoes going as well. And for that, I like to use one of these. This is just a perforated frying pan, essentially. And this is great for anything that's small, like shrimp or little potatoes that you wanna kinda keep together, but still have on the grill and get that fire flavor. So, I'm gonna put this on right over the heat and go in with our potatoes. Don't underestimate the beautiful powers of duck fat. It warms my heart seeing a 115 in full action like this. The real technique for cooking potatoes like this is just to kind of keep them moving. You don't want any part to get overcooked or burnt. Smells good. This steak is reading right around 120 degrees, 119. We're gonna pull it off and let it rest. Now that these mushrooms have cooked down a little bit, they're looking a little bit dry, so we're gonna go in and deglaze this pan with some beef stock, unsalted. That's gonna help rehydrate them while giving them some really nice flavor. It's also at this time we're gonna go in with our chopped parsley. This is gonna add some nice color, a little bit of flavor. Potatoes are done, you can tell by the nice wrinkled skin. As well, with the probe test, they're feeling nice and tender. So we're gonna pop them up top, keep them warm. All right, steak has been seared. We're about to slice in, but first we're gonna drop down these Brussels sprouts into our cute little deep fryer here, starting with our bacon. It's gonna get that crisped up real quick. After about 30, 40 seconds, most of the water is cooked out. We're looking like that. And before it gets too crispy, we're going in with our Brussels sprouts. And after just a few moments, these are looking beautiful. We're just going by color here, and as you can tell, they are nice and crispy. And fresh out of the fryer, we're gonna hit it with a little bit of lime juice, just to give it a little more life. Boom. Oh, look at that hot see. Can't beat it. The bacon to Brussels ratio here is in our favor. Little Parmesan on there, why not? First things first, folks, take off that string. Oh, a real pitmaster floss is right there. We're gonna carve this right off the bone. Come on, don't you want to gnaw on that? Ooh, smoky. There it is, folks. The beautiful medium rare, nice and juicy. Hope this light is doing it justice, Carl. That prime meat pulls right apart. Very tasty. Nice and juicy. Can't go wrong, folks.
That was a delicious, I don't know that I've ever had that flavor in my mouth before.
Ooh. It's on these special days, Valentine's Day, when you really need to share the food that you love with the people you love. Carl, will you be my Valentine?
I would love to be your Valentine, sir.
Have some steak, buddy.
Bradley.
It's hard to beat a good... No, PP, that's not for you, pal. Good juicy steak, you know what I mean?
Peeps, get it? Yeah.
Not often Penelope eats prime ribeye, but...
Damn, son. I don't even know what to say about that one. I'm into it.
I mean, how do you go wrong with a big-ass tomahawk, right?
That's insane.
You want to take a nibble off the bone?
I would love to do the honors. Yep. Oh my god.
Gnawing off the bone.
Man. Dude, you make good meat.
I love your meat. I love your meat.
Well, there's some vegetables too, if you can call them that.
Okay. I'll get some bacon and some...
Yeah, I like to pick around the Brussels. Just go for the bacon. I'm trying to show this to the camera, and the dog is just... No.
Papers.
You'll get yours later. That bone, though. I like this, how we're just kind of eating with our hands.
Yeah.
It's got a good primal feeling to it.
Oh boy.
Just pulls apart.
There goes all that New Year's resolution.
Yeah. Nah, it's all right. You made it till February. That's all.
Man, I did well for a minute.
We actually put a pretty good dent into this big-ass steak.
I know.
You could hurt someone with this.
No,
Though.
no, you could.
Carl, did you wake up this morning thinking you'd be eating deep fried bacon?
I did not. I didn't.
There's worse ways to end the day.
C'est la vie.
All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how I like to cook a big old tomahawk ribeye steak. I highly recommend picking one of these up next time you get a chance because it really is the king of all steaks. That tender, rich, fatty, medium rare meat with a nice hint of smoke and a beautiful thick crust on the outside. You cannot go wrong. But that being said, if you pick one up anytime soon, be sure to tag me on Instagram at ChudsBBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see me cook next. Head over to ChudsBBQ.com for all pit inquiries, wait lists, and all that good stuff. Also, if you want to join me and Evan Leroy for a brisket trim seasoning cooking tutorial, we're doing an online Zoom class on February 19th. You can head over to the Leroy and Lewis Instagram page and sign up for that. Tickets are now available for sale, and you can learn all of our secrets. With that being said, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace!